Now, he's one of the Nigerian political warriors who has led the battle cry for change and for the rebirth and renewal of Nigeria after the privations of decades of bad leadership. During the 2023 presidential election campaign, Prince Adewole Adebayo, presidential candidate for the Social Democratic Party, or SDP, tried and failed to rally what he saw as a beleaguered population, particularly the youth of this country, warning that Nigeria would be poorer for it if it continues on its current trajectory. But then the very political party that he held up as the hidden force that would change this country forever, the SDP, became misshapen, almost ruthlessly turning in on itself, leaving a yawning internal gulf and the looming threat of a failing party, much presumably to his frustration. So 2 years after the 2023 presidential election and halfway to the next one in 2027, has his political career, tied as it has been to the SDP, reaching its winding down stage? Or is it just beginning as he continues to focus on his vision of a new Nigerian order? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the lawyer and 2023 presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Prince Adewole Adebayo. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Charles. And God
It's been a
bless
while.
Nigeria. Yes.
I understand you've been moving around the place.
Yeah, I've been practicing, I practice law in the afternoon and do my politics in the evening.
And of course, this is the evening, so let's be clear that this is politics.
Yes.
Are you getting ready for a political raucous as 2027 draws near? Are you one of those who will take a stand as a candidate or an aspirant?
I've informed my party that I'm running again. And everyone in my party knows that I'm running again. But I'm working with the party to strengthen the party, to invite more people into the party, to improve the quality of the processes in the party, to manage the challenges of cultural clashes because of new people coming to the party, and to see that the party does not disappoint Nigerians. So
how is that going?
Well, it's going the way it should go. Like Taisho Larin said, the best prayer you can be offered is, may your road be rough. Because when you,
I like that.
When your road is rough, you will enjoy and appreciate the destination when you get there.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do is not to fake anything, is to deal with issues. When the issues are external, like government, other people, we deal with it. When the issues are internal, we do not pretend, we deal with it.
So what are the issues?
Well, the issues that as you will have noticed, after every election, most candidates leave their party. Among those who ran last time, probably only President Tinubu and I still remain in our parties. The person who came second has left his party. The person who came third, he left his party today, comes back tomorrow, is not stable there. The person who came fourth, the same thing. And then the other ones who came after, they've gone their various ways. So we are trying to build the party because with the debacle of the last election, some of the problems were external. Most of the problems were external, but some were internal. And we're trying to address those issues. In between, because the other political parties were failing and flailing, many of their political refugees came into our party. And like any community that receives refugees, you will know that you have culture shock because there are some things they were doing there they want to do. So some have remained with us, like changing and blending to us. Some couldn't blend and they left. In fact, some of them left with some of our original people. But we're trying to keep the party together, guided by the ideology of the party and guided by Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution. So those are the challenges we are managing, but the party is intact. We are more in number now than we were before. And in our executive, we probably lost only 1 or 2 people. The executive remains intact. So we're building the party that way, because if we don't do those things, we will not be able to ready the party for the next challenge, because 2027 is different from 2023.
And is Nasir El-Rufai still in your party?
No, I think, unfortunately, despite my best hopes, his ways with the party have come to an end, and I think it wasn't in a very pleasant way.
Right. So that clears the way for you to go for the presidency.
No. It didn't. I wish he had more people on my side. So I think whatever you might think of him, El-Rufai can work very well if he wants to work very well. So we were hoping that he would be in the party and work. But he has his own other characteristics which might be some other members of the party might not find palatable. And he too is quite, if you know, he reacts to almost everything. And so with all of that management, I think he's found a better way to express his politics now. But he wasn't standing in my way at all.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, so what is the clear game plan for you for 2027? Or are you sort of just tossing yourself into the battlefield and adjusting and improvising on the fly, as they say?
No, the game plan is actually to just be on the side of the people. To have no, there's nothing personal to me about this whole presidency I'm doing. Is to, first, I owe a duty to the people of Nigeria to let us be faithful to the Constitution and the aims of the Republic. There's a reason why we asked the British to leave, and we'll be a laughing stock if 65 years after the British left, we haven't been able to solve 65 problems. In fact, we've added 65,000 problems to our country, to a country where we were now discussing the definition of genocide and silly things like that, as if it's a joke. So we need to keep to that. Second, I have a duty to keep the government that is in place, keep their toes closer to the fire, and to remind them that they are failing. If they don't want to accept that they are failing in every aspect. Even areas where we thought they would do well because they are easy things to handle, they are failing woefully. So we need to keep them under check.
And what are those areas that you say they're failing? You
Well,
say even areas you thought they would succeed. What areas?
I thought, for example, that they will recognize the fact that the country needs security, and that they will make sure that all over the country there is security for the people. They haven't done much in that regard. New branches are coming up. They themselves announced by themselves that there are new terror groups coming up with all kinds of unprintable names. And many communities in the Middle Belt are turning against each other. And then the original battle with Boko Haram hasn't come to a decisive end. And now you are more likely to find government officials having selfies with terrorists than having battles with them. And so many other things like that. They're failing that. I thought that they would recognize the fact that poverty and economic development can coexist, and that they will use the enormous resources available to address poverty quickly. There are generational and intergenerational poverty that requires structural adjustment, but a hungry man who is hungry at 2 o'clock, if you have a sensible government that works, it will not be hungry by the end of the day. There are measures you can take that are immediate. So it's like finding your relative stark naked on the street, and you say, okay, now I'm going to set up a textile company to deal with it. No, you can actually get them some cloth to cover up while you are dreaming your textile company. So this government is promising things that are beyond its tenure and not doing things that are within its tenure. So they are trying to dodge away and hoping that we will somnambulistically walk into the next election season, and then all the propaganda can start to fly around. So we need to remind people that despite the fact that we hope to vote them out, we pray to vote them out, but they're in place now, and enormous resources are available to them. They're not dealing with it. They're not dealing with education, for example, for God's sake. So what's the point of having student loan if the university lecturers are going to be on strike? So you have a loan, you are owing government to pay the loan, but the education is not being offered to you. And what's the point of education if you have no roads to get to the school? And when you get to the school, whatever money is given to you is not enough. I run scholarships program, and this year alone, my scholarship program is costing me additional 400 million naira. Not that the number of the students have increased, but because the school fees, the tuition is rising, other things are rising. So it's becoming, I need to work longer hours to fund the scholarship that I give to children. I work very hard now because 400 million added to it, and I can show you statistics. So in many areas, they're not dealing well. And in little areas like managing justice sector,
Right.
you are doing amnesty that looks like a crime on its own. So if the presidential clemency does not evoke that the president is a thinking person, because it's a prerogative of mercy, it is not endorsement of criminality. So if you can handle things like that, so basic things that you can't say it's because you don't have enough money. That's why you cannot grant clemency correctly. So many other things like that. And then
You talk about the pardons the president just
yes,
gave,
the pardon. The pardon is a fiasco. So when you look at sector by sector, how they are managing it, and they spend the whole of their time on political theater and spectacle of migrating governors from party to party and silly things like that, which they consider to be achievement. And even when you give critical reviews of what they do, they deny the reality rather than just accept and take on a debate and gain a few things from what you say and make amendments. Because despite the fact that I pray day and night that President Tinubu should be a one-term president, and every Nigerian who loves this country, and even President Tinubu's family members, if they love him that much, they should make him a one-term president. Because when disgrace becomes fiasco, a fiasco becomes opprobrium. Because no matter what happens, if you are a failure for 4 years, somebody else can come and clean after you, and your failure will not be that pronounced. But if you are a failure for 4 years, and because of lack of moral rectitude in the country, you are allowed to do another 4 years to fail even more woefully. That's why in the university, when you are studying medicine or you are studying law, pharmacy, or journalism, in your second year, they give you notice of advice to withdraw. They don't want you to waste more of your time on something for which you are not talented.
Well, let me say this, because, I mean, you're quite critical of the government, clearly. I mean, you're a member of the opposition. But I'm wondering whether you would level, because, there's the micro and there's the macro. The government is in power, so it's dealing with the macro, which is the bigger picture. You're not in power, but you're within your party, so you're dealing with the micro. And your party is falling apart. The PDP, and I'm talking about the opposition generally, is falling apart. The Labour Party is falling apart. There is no confidence that any of you inspire in the Nigerian people for them to say, okay, this is who we're going to vote for as an alternative, with a party structure that is solid, I mean, and impressive and, commanding respect of the people. We're not seeing that. And the other issue is the fact that we're not seeing that many of you really going to town on the issue of making sure that every voting voice can be heard in 2027. To prevent the kind of convulsed, large-scale voting irregularities we've seen in previous times. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? It's difficult for people to be confident in you, but also perhaps not be confident in the government as well.
I see your point, but there are a few miscalculations or misunderstanding those issues. Our job as opposition is to make sure the government does what is right according to the Constitution, according to the law, and according to the general expectation of the people. Our political parties can't be like the government. We need to reform our parties.
Yeah.
So when we are reforming our parties and we have 99% agreement and there's a 1% disagreement, the media says, oh, this party is in crisis. So it makes party leaders to be careful about even making corrections. So if you found out, for example, that an official of your party has violated your party constitution or is committed a malfeasance, you need to deal with that. And when you are dealing with that, the press doesn't want to go into the detail of it. They say, oh, you are in crisis. Then, as for the other political parties, like the PDP, Labour, they were misaligned. Almost every member of the PDP ought to belong to the APC because their ideologies align, their behaviors align, their funding pattern and their modus operandi agree with one another. So it is a good thing that most PDP people are emptying out into APC. then we'll have clear ideological line. With respect to Labour, Labour has what it stands for in terms of manifesto and ideology. But in the last election, they went for populism, and they took a candidate that does not necessarily reflect their own ideology. And it shows that when after the election, when the euphoria went away, they had to deal with the reality on the ground. And if the person is moving to join his colleague in the mainstream politics, he needs to go there. So it is now this adjustment that we are making that we need to make. Nigerian people should not assume that because we are making adjustments in our party, we are trying to fuse together, enlarge the party, that we are not paying attention to them. That is party administration. For example, in my party, I'm not involved in that. Occasionally, they seek my opinion as to what do I think about this and that person or that process, but I'm not a party administrator. I'm going around the country to try to unite the country across party lines to see that at least we have broad outlines of what a government should look like. Whether I win or you win, there's a minimum below which a government should not fall. But these political parties also realize that we are dealing with a highly intelligent, manipulative government. The president you see today, President Tinubu, is so deep in party politics and party politicking. And any opposition that is doing a strategy on Arise TV, doing a strategy on other TV station and the open, you are going to get yourself quite surprised. So sometimes some bit of strategic confusion is required for you not to be swallowed by the whale. So, but our people should not assume that we're not thinking about them. Many of those changes that we're making is because of them. But ultimately, a political party is just a mechanism for electioneering and for raising leaders. The real change belongs to the people. And we are engaging the people where they are. But the politics of grand standing and building expensive, difficult to maintain party infrastructure is not the one we can follow, because the funding pattern of that is going to deny the people the benefit. Because
we're not talking about you coming up with grand things.
Yes.
We're simply saying making your party reliable and trustworthy in the eyes of the people.
That's
by being a united party and,
yes,
and not sort of constantly sort of
we
quibbling and fighting with each other.
No, yes,
it doesn't inspire confidence.
I get your point, but what you see is that with respect to SDP, we maintain a clear line. However, in recent times, as you will know, certain non-members or new members came to the party.
Right.
And we had
that was disruptive.
Yeah, and we had to deal with the culture shock of that.
Okay.
And they've gone back, and those who remain are wiser for it. And we'll build more. And don't be surprised, between now and 2027, that we'll get to certain junctures where there will be a lot of noise in-house. But this is our way of refining ourselves,
right,
to make sure that what we criticize the government of doing, we do not do it at home. If we are covering up, for example, if there is a fraud in our party, there's a forgery in our party, there is a breach of constitution, and we are covering it up, and we come hypocritically to the TV to criticize the government, then we are failing in leadership. So we will deal with that. Sometimes it can make a little noise here and there, but we will deal with it consistently. What you will know is that
we've literally got 30 seconds.
If the fight is about personal interest, then we've abandoned the people.
Right.
But if the fight is about process, to strengthen the party and to make the party work for the people and to get us to be ready from day one to replace this non-performing government that has no clue except a sense of entitlement.
Right.
That because they've been there for 4 years, they need to be there for another 4 years.
But in either case, you're sticking with the SDP.
Certainly. I've been in the SDP since 1991 when I was 19 years old.
Right. Okay.
And I know where I'm going other than to take the party to victory on behalf of Nigerian people.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed for coming in. Prince Adewole Adebayo is a lawyer, and he was the 2023 presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, and now a presidential aspirant in the SDP for 2027. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.